The crowd enjoying the festivities here at the Big Bud Shootout. It is a standing room only crowd as well. And we've already stated how important crew chiefs are. The man who's turning the wrenches for Al Hoffman this week, and a new guy, Jimbo Ermilovich.
A year ago, Al Hoffman won his third Big Bud Shootout with Tom Anderson as crew chief. But this year, there's a new face in command, Jimbo Ermilovich.
I had a pretty big set of shoes to fill. Tom Anderson, you know, like, he's really good, and it's a shame he left, but, you know, nothing lasts forever.
Jimbo is no stranger to winning race teams, having worked for Brad Anderson, Frank Bradley, Del Worsham, and others. The West Virginia native believes these opportunities have helped him learn.
And you just keep your eyes open and pay attention, and, you know, when it comes time, you forget all that stuff, but what you were supposed to learn, but it's really tough. You know, it's not as easy as it looks, and, you know, I'm doing the best I can do with it. I don't want it to smoke the tires because it's valuable information lost when it does. And at this point in life, I need all the information I can get.
Jimbo also has the full support of his driver during this time of transition.
Al showed a lot of faith in me, or he wouldn't have given me this job. And Al's a very good driver. You know, he does a fine job out there. He has a lot of input, and he's really helped me out with this thing. You know, like I say, we're just doing the best we can do.
Of course, Tom Anderson's going to be moving on to Don Perdum's new funny car team next year. For Jimbo Ermilovich, big shoes to fill, but he really is confident. Let's see how they did in that first round matchup against Whit Bazemore. There is Whit Bazemore's crew. Rob Flynn getting set to watch as they light up the car, the Camelback entry of Whit Bazemore. Al Hoffman's wife lowers the body on the Western Auto machine. Al Hoffman, the winner of the last 3 of the last 4, gets set to do his burnout before the Big Bud Shootout completes round number 1. The thing about Al Hoffman is that now that Tom Anderson has departed the team, he has not advanced past the 2nd round since then.
Well, you know, as much credit as I like to give to the drivers, because that's what I did all my career, I'll tell you something, the crew chiefs are so critical in this drag racing sport today, especially in the fuel categories. They almost have to live with the car. Sometimes they can share some ideas down the line with other teams, but when you take somebody like a Tommy Anderson, everything on that car from the fuel pump to the rear end gear is his combination. It's what he worked to perfect, and when he walks away, to have somebody else step in and expect the performance to stay there, I just can't think that it's ever going to happen.
Bob, this is probably going to be one of the better battles of this first round. How's it shaping up down on the starting line?
We haven't really had a good matchup yet. And I'm going to take the other side of the coin from what Frank Hawley was saying. Tom Anderson was a vital part of this race team, but this car came out the other night, ran a 5.08. It's a 5.0 race car. Jimbo's doing a pretty good job. Al can flat out drive it. They're going to be a factor here today.
It's a good look at Jimbo right there, getting everything squared up and ready to go. Smoke and Joe's team, they're set, they're ready. Whit Bazemore strapped in, ready to test out the durability of those belts as they get set to launch 6,000 horsepower in each car down this quarter mile here at Indianapolis Raceway Park with $100 grand up for grabs at the end of the day. Bazemore stayed with it as long as he could. Hoffman got the jump out of the lights and had it at the far end too. So we're going to find out if he can get past the 2nd round here in a little while. A 5:27, 291 miles an hour. Puts Al Hoffman into the next round, a losing 5:32, 261. The Smokin' Joe's car.
You know, Whit was in front at half track. He was marching away from Hoffman. He got out there. It smoked the tires. And these cars make so much horsepower now. They can be down there at over 250 mile an hour and start tire smoke. And that's why he lost the race. He was flat ready to go into the 2nd round.
One of the big things is whether or not you can work things out with your crew chief. It might be a new team pairing, but it looks like Al Hoffman and his new crew chief are doing pretty good.
Well, I won't have to tell Al Hoffman that at a 5:27 he was there for the pickings. You kind of dodged one there.
Yeah, we sure did. It drove through the clutch the second I stood on it again.
Explain what that means.
It, good job,
Whit Bazemore.
It made a good move when I initially hit it, but about 100 feet out there, the motor got way ahead of the clutch, and it was, if you look inside the car, it's burning it up pretty good right now, so.
There'll be a lot of work going on inside that bell housing.
Thanks.
Still here.
TNN's exclusive coverage of the Big Bud Shootout is brought to you by Pep Boys, 26,000 items at the guaranteed low price. Tires and service too, everything but gas. And by Peerless Faucet. Get more out of your faucet than just water. Cruz Pedregon currently sits third in the Winston Funny Car point standings. He might not have a shot at that, but he did have a shot at making it into the Big Bud Shootout finals. First, he had to get by Gary Densham, is who he matched up with in round one. So the next pair of cars now getting set to fire up as we continue to march through round number one of the Big Bud Shootout. Another Pedregon in this matchup. It will be the Cruiser, Cruz Pedregon, going up against Gary Densham, the NEC-backed cars. The McDonald's machine with Dave Settles as the crew chief. Taking a look at things as Larry Frazier walks away. A good group of brain trust working on that car as well.
Well, there certainly is. You know, you've got Lee Beard over there, who's been a multinational event crew chief, winner over the years. He is kind of the person that oversees the whole operation. They've, as we know with John Force and a number of the teams, Ralph, over the last few years, they've gone to multiple crew chiefs, if you will. And you get that amount of brain trust together at one time, more than one car running down the racetrack, and they're able to trade that technology back and forth between the teams. And I'm told from Lee that the difference in running the funny car and the dragster, that they're becoming more similar than they were in the past.
Gary Densham comes in as the number 7 seed. His best qualifying effort since last year here at the Big Bud Shootout was a number 2 spot at the Autolite Nationals. Pedregon, on the other hand, he's had 3 number 1 qualifying efforts, the Keystone Nationals, the Cheap Auto Parts Nationals, and the Winter Nationals. He comes in as the number 2 seed. Now, they've seen what happened with Tony's car and how Frank Medlin set that car up. If you're Dave Settles, what do you do?
Well, one of the things I learned way back when I was racing with Austin Foyle here at Indy one year is we made an adjustment at the last minute based on what Prudhomme did right in front of us, and it didn't work. And Austin said, I'll never, ever make a last-minute adjustment ever again as long as I live. So I think Settles just went up there, has left the car alone no matter what happened. But both drivers know that the track is maybe less than 100% right now, and they might realize that it's a driver's race.
Densham never gets off the line. Cruiser powers on through as Densham comes by a lot later. Cruz obviously getting the win with a 5:05 301.
Well, the car ran great, and you notice that he took the opposite lane, the one that Chuck Etchells had smoked the tires in, so they weren't afraid of that left lane, but I'm not real sure what happened on the starting line.
Densham ended on powering down to a 5:24 292, by the way. Densham just never left. Pretty smooth run for the Cruz. And the crew celebrating. The Butterfield boys ready to go back and take a look at it. That 5:05, a lot stronger than I thought we might have seen, Steve.
I totally agree, Ralph. A 5:05 at well over 300 miles an hour is extremely impressive. And I think we answered your question. What Settles did was soften the car up at the starting line, but make it run like heck the second half of the racetrack. I think that's a pretty good analysis, Chris.
Yeah, it felt kind of funny there. What did it run anyway?
5:05, 301.
5:05. Yeah, it's that's okay. We're racing the racetrack. We think it's pretty good out there, so we might as well try to run the numbers out there. But we're happy. Thanks for Budweiser putting on this deal. A lot of money.
It is indeed. Both Pedregons survive round number 1 of the Big Bud Shootout. We'll be back with more live here on TNN. Stay with us, everybody.
Well, of course, we talked about Dave Settles, but the thing we have to do now is introduce you to the man who has been powering Cruz Pedregon into the second round of the Big Bud Shootout. Here is Dave Settles.
The most appropriate crew chief to be working in the funny car pits is Dave Settles, the sport's practical joker who calls the shots for Cruz Pedregon's McDonald's Pontiac.
Well, I think a guy ought to have a little fun in life. Pyrotechnics are good fun to have. I enjoy some fireworks from time to time. We take it plenty serious when the time comes, though.
A graduate of Arizona State University with a degree in mechanical engineering, Dave also has cockpit credentials in both blown and injected dragsters, and even in a funny car. But after a stint in the real world, he returned to drag racing.
I've been in and out of racing and in and out of industry, and finally I'm too old to get back in industry, so now I've got to race.
The Big Bud Shootout and its six-figure payday is definitely a serious matter in the Joe Gibbs camp.
That's a big nugget to get, and these guys have won it before I got here, so I hope we can win it this year. The crew guys here are so talented and so effective at what they do. If I get in their way, they just knock me around and get me out of the way. So I go in front of the computer and spend my time trying to figure out how everything can be improved or maintained at the same level.
Dave Settles likes fireworks. All you got to do is start pouring a bunch of nitro to a 6,000 horsepower motor. That's good pyrotechnics. The Big Bud Shootout continues live on TNN.